Welcome to Therapist Desk Today, the podcast where we explore the world of mental health. I'm your host, Winnie Pere, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. The conversation today is on how our childhood experiences have an impact on our personal development. It's an interesting life we live. It is very fascinating how memories are made every single day from an incredibly young age. And these memories, they are made from experiences, either nice or awful ones, and our personalities are formed. As we grow older and older, these memories increase as experiences increase, and therefore personalities and characters are defined and redefined as many times as we allow ourselves. Our perspective on ourselves and how we portray ourselves to others reflects how we treat ourselves as well as how we treat others. What we like, what we dislike is as a result of what we have grown up doing, seeing, and what we have experienced before. Today's topic is a topic that will evoke a lot of self-introspection and challenge us to look deeper into ourselves, go through memory lane, notice underlying patterns that reflect trauma, or even find a hidden strength within us that we have from childhood that has been beneficial during the years. A perfect example of this has been explained on films or TV novels, what we've read, where a person grows up in hardships, facing a lot of grief, trauma, rejection, then they grow up into very bitter people towards the world. Or in some cases, this character takes lessons from their hard childhood experiences and builds a character of kindness, gentleness, a forgiving nature towards other people. It's all about how we choose to process and how our genetics have been structured to help us with these experiences. All experiences are subjective, therefore, making personal development a subjective experience. This means everyone has a different point of view of life and the world. We do not all have a similar attitude towards experiences and life. It's quite different from one person to another. Everyone has their own version of childhood story. Even in the cases of siblings who have been born and raised in the same home with the same caregiver or the same parents. Parents may raise and try to give every child a similar privilege and experience, but each child will have their own version of what it's like to grow in that household, while some parents make an obvious bias and create a visible difference in their children's personal development. Think of it this way: two children raised in generational wealth with good income flow and very hardworking parents as a perfect example. But one of the children decides to follow the parents' steps, work hard to sustain the wealth, or even add to it and become even wealthier. But the other child decides that there is no need for him to put in the work when they could just sit and wait for his turn to inherit. This describes how processing of experiences can be different. The child who decided to just wait and inherit took in that their parents are working hard, extra hard, and that he doesn't have to work hard at all. Or maybe the other one took in it as a motivation to become better or to become like the parents. We go to hospitals for checkups. You'll be asked about your history. If you are going for either a physiological examination or even a psychological assessment, the the history will be taken because there might be a possibility of growth of the disease or disorder from an early childhood. In case of disorders such as eating disorders, addictions especially, it is said that when children are traumatized, they find ways to soothe themselves, and that is where the addictions come in. During childhood, it's trial and error. We try different coping mechanisms and see which one helps us the most. Our coping mechanisms are the way in which we soothe ourselves. There's a whole series on coping mechanisms in the podcast or on our YouTube. For instance, a child who grows up in a home or culture that always tells them that they are not good enough, that they are not worthy of the bare minimum of human decency and affection, if they do not even earn it, for example, by working, or are more prone to become people. Those children, they are more prone to become people pleasers, workaholics, drug addicts as they grow older, but also depending on how the child is structured inherently in his or her genetics. It is also a possibility that the child can grow up loving themselves, putting themselves first, and setting very healthy boundaries. There are a wide range of personalities and character people can grow into from similar childhood experiences, but it all depends on how they process the experience. This depends not only on social factors like availability or a supportive environment and an education or healthy coping skills, but also on genetics, factors such as physical and mental strength to withstand hardship or inborn resilience. Childhood experiences may play a crucial role in shaping personal development, influencing various aspects of an individual's emotional, cognitive, and social growth. Did you know that insecure and disrupted adulthood attachments and not being emotionally unavailable is a character we grow into? If you have this kind of character, it does lead to anxiety, depression, and difficulties forming relationships, either romantic or non romantic ones. Interacting with people may feel nervous, and even when you have already formed a good bond with someone, you keep thinking that they're going to leave. And this paranoia eventually makes you be the first one to leave that relationship. How many can relate? Secure attachments with caregivers lead to better emotional regulation and resilience during childhood. Even as we grow into being emotionally intelligent and secure enough to form very meaningful relationships with others. But keep in mind, it's all about how we process things, and there is an endless amount of possibilities on our growth journey. Like, growth is just not, you can't put period on a growth. Growth has endless possibilities. But in some cases, when we experience what is traumatic, especially at a very young age, when we haven't developed very well cognitively, exposure to traumatic situations such as abuse, neglect can lead to long term psychological effects. This is PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder, increased stress sensitivity, and emotional dysregulation. Positive interventions can and stable support systems, this can mitigate some positive impacts during time of exposure and during the healing journey. Stimulating environments and parents' involvement in an early learning can contribute to better cognitive development, including high IQ and academic achievements. How we are raised intellectually, if we are taught to love, read books from an early age, it is more likely to grow loving books. Like, you're more likely to grow loving books. And if you're taught about sports, fashion, art, or even history, it's likely that you'll grow having an interest and knowledge on the same. Adverse conditions like poverty, lack of educational resources can hinder cognitive development and academic performance. Positive social interactions with peers and adults, they teach empathy, cooperation, and good conflict resolution skills. Negative experiences such as bullying or social interactions can lead to social withdrawals and difficulty in forming healthy relationship. Consistent discipline and positive role models, they foster discipline, responsibility, and appropriate social behaviors. Exposure to inconsistent or harsh discipline can result in behavioral problems and antisocial tendencies. Educating parents on childhood development and effective parenting strategy can enhance the developmental environment from children. In summary, children experience significant shape children experiences it significantly shapes an individual's emotional, cognitive, and social development. The presence of supportive relationships, stimulating environment, and positive interactions, it can foster healthy development, while adverse experiences can pose challenges that may require targeted interventions to overcome. I hope you've learned a thing or two about yourself, about your character, and about your personality. Remember, growth is a lifelong process, and instead of sitting down and assuming or ignoring our wounds, we can decide to start our healing journey. If you're suffering from mental health conditions that started as a result of childhood experiences, it's time for you to show yourself some love and start this healing journey in order to grow happier and healthier. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you've enjoyed and learned something new. If you liked what you heard, consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. You can also follow us on our social media at Nasieku Therapy to stay up to date with our latest episodes. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more content with you. Bye.